Imagine for a moment that you are the luckiest person who has ever lived. Not because of wealth, fame, or fortune, but because you know something most people never even dare to believe. You know that life does not happen to you. It responds to you. Every event, every opportunity, and every chance encounter unfolds in perfect harmony with what you assume to be true about yourself. The world isn't a chaotic, indifferent machine. It is a mirror reflecting back the assumptions you carry in silence. To act as if you are the luckiest person in the world is not about pretending or faking. It is about entering the secret place within you where reality begins. It starts in your own imagination. When you assume you are lucky, you awaken to a deeper law that governs the unseen. Luck to the world is randomness. But to the awakened mind, luck is the evidence of alignment between inner belief and outer experience. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to be at the right place at the right time? Doors open for them effortlessly. Opportunities flow into their lives. They find solutions before others even know there is a problem. You may have called them lucky, but if you looked closely, you would see they simply expect good things. They carry an unshakable belief that life bends in their favor. That expectation, the silent, invisible force of belief, is what we call luck. It is not an accident or a coincidence. It is a spiritual law in motion. So what happens when you begin to live like that? When you wake up in the morning with a smile, not because of what is, but because of what you have claimed within. You walk differently. You speak with confidence. You no longer react to appearances. You carry yourself like someone who knows that everything is always working out for you, even when it seems like it's falling apart. You no longer beg the world to notice your worth. You assume your place in it. You no longer fear the future. You welcome it, knowing that it must reflect the inner atmosphere you have created. To act as if you are the luckiest person in the world is to assume that nothing is out of place. It means knowing that even your delays are divine, that rejection carries redirection, and that life is always conspiring in your favor, even when you cannot see the hand moving behind the curtain. You begin to look at closed doors not as defeat, but as protection. You don't just wish for good things. You claim them, prepare for them, and give thanks for them before they arrive. Attitude becomes your secret weapon. You no longer wait for blessings to show up to say thank you. You start with thanksgiving, knowing that what you appreciate appreciates. Every step you take becomes infused with the power of unseen faith, and life in turn cannot help but respond. Circumstances shift, people are drawn to your energy, and solutions come from unlikely places. Not because you forced them, but because you expected them. And here is where many go wrong. They wait to feel lucky until something lucky happens. But that's not how the law works. You must feel it first. You must embody it now. You must enter the mood of the answered prayer before the evidence shows up. That is the sacred order. Assume the feeling of being divinely favored, and the world will bend to make it true. You do not need to be born into privilege to live a privileged life. You only need to awaken to your power to choose your assumptions. Right now, this very moment, you could begin to walk through this life as if the heavens are open over you. Act as if every room you enter is already prepared to receive you, and as if every situation is turning in your favor, even if it doesn't look like it yet. That is the power of assumption. That is what it means to act as if you are the luckiest person in the world. Take a breath, let go of appearances, and step into the reality you desire. Don't wait for it. Live in the state of it right now, because when you do, the world cannot help but mirror your inner world. You are not a victim of fate, you are its author. What you accept inwardly, life must express outwardly. And the moment you claim without doubt that you are the luckiest person in the world, life must respond with proof. Not someday, but the moment you believe it. There is a secret place within every human being where the script of life is written. It is written by the quiet, often unnoticed power of assumption. To the outside world, life appears to unfold by chance. Some are deemed fortunate, others not. But beneath this surface illusion, a spiritual law operates with absolute precision. Whatever you assume to be true consistently and with feeling must eventually become your daily experience. This is not philosophy or positive thinking. It is spiritual causation. To act as if you are the luckiest person in the world is to deliberately plant the seed of that assumption into the fertile ground of consciousness, trusting that it must grow into reality. Everything begins in the mind. Long before the world sees it, you must feel it. Long before your hands touch it, your spirit must hold it. You do not need proof to assume something as true. You only need to accept it in your imagination. When you accept it as truth within, your outer world rearranges itself to reflect it. The world is not resisting you, it is responding to you. Every event, every person, and every so-called coincidence is shaped by the inner tones of your being. If you walk through life assuming lack, you will experience lack. If you carry the belief that others are lucky but you are not, life will echo that back to you with precision. But the moment you shift and begin to dwell in the state of being favored, blessed, and divinely lucky, you awaken the law of reflection, and life must yield to the new truth you have accepted. An assumption is not wishful thinking or idle daydreaming. It is a spiritual act, a declaration of what is even before the world confirms it. When you assume you are lucky, you are not hoping that something good might happen. You are stepping into the reality where it already has. You are declaring within yourself that the good you seek is already yours. This assumption becomes the mold through which life pours itself. You cannot expect water to take shape without a vessel. Likewise, you cannot expect life to deliver what you have not first claimed within. Now ask yourself, what have you been assuming about yourself in silence? When no one is around and the distractions fade, what do you quietly believe to be true about your destiny? Do you assume that life is against you, that things never work out, or that you always get overlooked? These beliefs are powerful. They are not passive, they are creative, and they are constantly forming the outer pattern of your days. But you can change them. You can revise them. You can begin this very moment to assume something higher and truer, aligned with divine favor. Walk as if the stars are aligned for you, as if doors are opening that no one can shut, and as if everything you need is already on its way, drawn by the gravity of your own belief. Do not wait for life to show you evidence before you believe. That is the way of the world, but not the way of the Spirit. The law is not see and then believe. The law is believe and you shall see. This is the secret known by all who live uncommon lives. They do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They create those conditions by assuming them. They walk into rooms as if they belong. They approach opportunities as if they are already theirs. They carry a quiet confidence, rooted in the inner knowing that they are aligned with something greater than themselves. To assume you are the luckiest person in the world is not to deny reality. It is to reshape it. It is to go beyond appearances and choose a higher truth. You are not bound by your past, and you are not defined by statistics or the judgments of others. You are defined by what you claim within. When you claim divine favor and embody the feeling of being blessed, the world has no choice but to follow suit. The world is clay, and your assumption is the hand that molds it. Every morning you rise is an invitation to create anew. Will you assume the worst out of habit, or will you dare to assume the best out of faith? Will you rehearse old disappointments, or will you imagine new beginnings? The choice is yours. The moment you say, I am divinely guided, I am fortunate beyond reason, and I am a magnet for miracles, something begins to shift. You won't see it all at once, but slowly and then suddenly, life starts echoing back what you whispered to yourself in silence. Stand guard over your inner world, for that is where everything begins. Once the seed of assumption is planted and nurtured, life itself becomes the garden in which it blooms. Welcome to Neville's Vision, where we explore the deeper truths of reality. What the world calls luck is often misunderstood, reduced to a roll of the dice or a twist of fate. People admire it when they see it in others, envy it when it seems absent in their own lives, and speak of it as if it belongs to a chosen few. But luck, in its truest sense, is the natural result of internal alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and assumptions are harmonized with a vision of favor, what follows in your outer life feels effortless and even magical to others. Yet to you, it is law. It is the unfolding of what was first believed long before it was seen. To understand this is to step out of chaos and into divine clarity. You begin to see that nothing in your life is truly random. Every lucky break was preceded by a moment where something shifted inside you. Maybe you felt a surge of confidence. Or maybe you suddenly dared to imagine that good things were possible. In that moment, you were aligning with change. You stepped into agreement with the life you desired. And that agreement began to attract all the pieces necessary to make it real. When you walk in alignment, your steps are guided by the quiet power of your own assumption. There is a spiritual current running beneath the surface of all things. When you come into harmony with it, you are carried by flow rather than struggle. You meet the right people at the right time, receive unexpected news that opens new doors, and find yourself in places that seem too perfect to be planned. The outside world watches and marvels at your luck, but the truth is, you are simply aligned. This alignment begins when you stop doubting that you are worthy of good and stop resisting your own desires. When your emotions, your self-talk, your imagination, and your expectations all move in the same direction, you become unstoppable. You are no longer asking for one thing while expecting another. Your entire being becomes a single affirmation of the life you choose to live. Maintaining this kind of alignment requires spiritual discipline. You must train yourself to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled, even when appearances suggest otherwise. Choose to feel lucky before there is evidence. Walk with your head high when circumstances still look low. Give thanks for blessings that haven't yet arrived in the physical, knowing that they already exist in the unseen. Your inner alignment is the mold through which the outer world takes shape. You will know you are aligned when peace replaces panic and trust replaces tension. You won't need to chase, convince, or struggle. You will attract and manifest. People will call you lucky, but you will remember the private moments when you sat in silence and imagined a new outcome, refusing to accept defeat as final. Anyone can live this way. You do not need a perfect background or external validation. You need only begin the sacred work of aligning your inner world with the truth of your divine sage. Favor. To live from the end is to occupy in your mind and emotions the state of already having what you desire. This is a radical departure from the way most people move through life. Most people live toward their goals, waiting for the world to change before they feel differently. But the spiritual truth is that you are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. When you live from the end, you flip the entire structure of experience. You no longer ask how to get there. You dwell in the place where it is already done. This approach is not about pretending or ignoring the present. It is about understanding that present circumstances are simply the residue of past beliefs and assumptions. They are not fixed and they are not final. When you live from the end, you claim your role as the author of your reality. You are no longer reacting to the world, you are causing it. Every thought and feeling becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, destined to sprout in due time. Consider how the world teaches you to live reactively. You are told that only when certain criteria are met, the degree, the job, the relationship, can you finally feel successful, loved, or happy. But spiritual law invites you to reverse this. Feel the freedom first. Feel the love first. Feel the success first. When you live in the feeling of your desire fulfilled without contradiction, the world must catch up. The mind may argue and say you don't see it yet, but that is where faith begins. You do not live from the end because you see it. You live from the end so that you will see it. The unseen always comes first. Nothing is random or imposed upon you. Everything is rooted in the state of consciousness you occupy. If you want to change the outer, you must first inhabit the inner state, where the desire is already fulfilled. Step into the version of yourself who already has it, and let that version lead. Ask yourself how you would think, speak, and act if your goal were already achieved. Align your posture, your energy, and your choices with the person who is no longer striving, but simply being. The world responds to your state of being, to who you are, not just to what you want. Chasing and hoping only reinforce the distance between you and your goals. When you live from the end, you collapse that distance. You move from someday to now. Your imagination becomes your sanctuary, where you rehearse the scenes of your ideal life as a present reality. Create the vivid inner experience so deeply that it begins to feel natural. Once it feels natural, it must become real. This way of living requires you to withdraw your attention from appearances and dwell in the unseen. Refuse to be discouraged by delay or contradicted by what you see. When you live from the end, you begin to see the world through a lens of certainty. You are no longer shaken by temporary setbacks, because you know what you have already claimed. Within, there is great peace in living this way. You no longer carry the weight of uncertainty or wonder if you are worthy. You have already decided. You begin to feel gratitude not for what is coming, but for what has already arrived in your imagination. This inner thanksgiving becomes a magnet that pulls the invisible into the visible, bridging the gap between spirit and matter. The change will come quietly at first. An idea, a phone call, a moment of clarity, and then things will rearrange completely. Not because you chased them, but because you became the version of yourself who already had them. The world bends to meet the self-image you hold. So begin today. Close your eyes, step into the feeling of already having what you desire, and let your mind accept it. Carry that state with you like a hidden treasure, for what you nurture within must eventually be born without. Gratitude in its most sacred form is a declaration of trust in what is yet unseen. Most people wait for the gift before they say thank you. But when you understand spiritual law, you see that gratitude is meant to create the miracle, not follow it. It is a force that pulls blessings into your life. When you express gratitude in advance, you are stepping into alignment with a reality that already exists in the unseen realm. To give thanks before there is any sign of movement is an act of courage and a demonstration of faith. This kind of gratitude does not beg or plead. It claims and embodies. The moment gratitude is truly felt, the energy of lack and waiting dissolves. You are no longer longing. You are receiving. There is something divine about walking through life with a grateful heart before the answers come. It is the behavior of those who know the truth behind appearances. They are not fooled by delay or discouraged by silence. They understand that just because they have not yet touched it with their hands doesn't mean it is not already theirs. They look at closed doors and say thank you, knowing it is part of a perfectly orchestrated path. Rejoice in advance, and let that joy become a spiritual frequency that draws matching experiences into form. When you live this way, people might question your optimism, but they do not realize that you already possess the reality within. The inner world always precedes the outer. Gratitude in advance is the sign that you hold the desire in consciousness. It is the seed you water with belief, and the laws of the universe demand that it must appear. Life cannot withhold what you have already claimed in faith. Position voices, this is why gratitude is power. It is the vibration of completion. It takes you out of the energy of striving and into the energy of receiving, where all things begin to move toward you by grace. Imagine waking up each day and thanking life for things you've only dreamed of, walking through your day as if your prayers had already been answered. This mindset opens gates and dissolves worry. You radiate peace and carry an unspoken confidence. Circumstances bend, people show up, and solutions appear because you are sending out the frequency of fulfillment. Even in the face of contradiction or long delays, gratitude remains your anchor. It refuses to surrender to appearances because it knows they are temporary. As you continue to give thanks and bless the process, the path reveals itself piece by piece. When the manifestation finally arrives, it will feel completely familiar because you have already visited it 1,000 times in your heart. Every time you gave thanks, you brought it closer until it could no longer remain hidden. Your state of being is the silent force that shapes the world around you. It is the invisible energy you bring into every room and interaction. While most people are obsessed with trying to fix external circumstances, the wise understand that everything begins within. Your state draws your circumstances always. If you walk through life in a state of fear, or carry the energy of being overlooked, you will encounter situations that confirm those exact beliefs. But the moment you shift your internal state to one of favor, abundance, and peace, the world must bend to mirror that shift. The patterns in your life, your relationships, and the way opportunities flow are all feedback loops showing you what state of consciousness you consistently occupy. The world does not bring you what you want, it brings you who you are. That is why simple affirmations aren't enough if your dominant internal state still feels defeated or expects disappointment. The universe hears what you are being, not just what you are saying. True transformation happens when you change what you expect and what you feel to be your baseline norm. When expecting favor feels more natural than expecting failure, you have shifted your state. Think of your state as the thermostat of your reality. If your inner setting is low, you will keep attracting situations that match that temperature, no matter how much physical effort you put in. But when you raise your expectations and believe that life supports you, everything begins to rearrange faithfully. You are always radiating a state and always creating, even in your silence. The key is awareness. Stop blaming the external world and start asking yourself what you are being. You cannot be in a state of lack and expect overflow. You must become the reality you desire first. When you understand this, you no longer grasp or try to manipulate outcomes. You go within, correct the state, and nurture the feeling of being supported and blessed. Challenges may still come, but your state dictates how they affect you. In a state of alignment, setbacks become setups, and rejection is recognized as redirection. Acting as if you are the luckiest person in the world puts you into a state where favor is assumed to be yours. You begin to anticipate open doors and look for signs of alignment. As you maintain that state, your reality must yield. You don't have to strain. The opportunities that match your energy will present themselves, guided by a perfect spiritual design. Your state is the magnet, your state is the prayer, and your state is the signal that calls forth everything into your life.